This is not the week to test my reading comprehension. I think I need to be put on a ban for summer yarns this summer. Hello, welcome back to my channel, Knits by Mandy. My name is Amanda. I'm a knitter based in Washington, D.C., and this is my 10,000 subscriber celebration spectacular Ask Me Anything knit and chat. I wanted to harken back to just a very easy, traditional video format of just sitting and knitting and yapping. To be so transparent, the last weeks have been very hard with the everything going on in America. A lot of my industry has been affected by recent executive orders, and it's just been really hard. That being said, I wanted to celebrate this accomplishment, wanted to just sit, chat, knit, and take a moment, because this is a moment that I've worked hard towards for the past 3 years. It's been almost 3 years of Knits by Mandy, and so if you've subscribed, watched, commented, participated in any way, just know that I'm so appreciative of it, and I just love having you here, and I love making content about knitting on the internet. That being said, I would love to do a giveaway as a small way to give back to my subscribers. I did one, I think, for 1K and for 5K, or maybe just for 5K, but either way, I would love to do a giveaway. What I found works well is that the winner of the giveaway, I think we'll have 2 winners, will win a $50 gift card to the craft store of their choosing. And all you have to do is comment in the comments below. I'll pick a winner randomly at the time I post my next video. I'll have the winners contact me. I'll announce the winners in the next video. I will not reach out to you if you won. I'll announce the winners and you'll reach out to me. Are we good? Cool, so just comment on this video and you'll be automatically entered to win the giveaway. Let's get into it. Over on Instagram, I posted just like literally ask me anything, life, knitting, reality TV, because that's like the second most featured topic on my knitting channel. My second passion in life, reality television. We'll talk about the knitting up front and then everything else later. There's definitely way more knitting questions. So let me show you what I've been working on. I'm sipping on a London Fog that I made. It's just okay. It's kind of milk heavy. I think I put the milk in too soon. Anyway, I just wanted something warm and a little caffeinated. I'm going to be working on my Lonely Leftovers vest by Wool and Beyond. I'm having so much fun knitting up this pattern. I think mostly because of the yarns that I chose. I'm knitting this in Mancha Lopi, which is an unspun yarn, and it's giving just like the most like dense, squishy texture. I'm holding it with one strand of fingering weight yarn. So this is some yarns from like my favorite sweaters that I've ever knit. So that's really fun. We're having fun. My cat Sassy also loves this yarn. She's been laying on this vest and like rubbing her face in the ball of yarn any chance she gets. And I might even switch colors here soon. So I have this little like 25 gram ball that I bought when I went to Fiberspace last from Freya. This is not the week to test my reading comprehension. Let me be so clear. But it's this really pretty like purple pink gray. Like this actually would be really pretty to transfer into. I have some brown knitting for olive that I think I want to have at the ends. So that's what I'm working on, and let's get into the questions. Someone asked, which I think is a great question to start with, how to get through a knitting slump. I think everyone has a different answer to this depending on how your creativity flows, how your mojo works. It's all very personal. For me, 2 things that I found help: working on small projects that give you a sense of accomplishment, always feel helpful, and that you're like, okay, I can still finish objects, like I'm good at this, like I can do it. That's always very helpful. Knitting things like a stash busting project with lots of colors, that also is helpful because like you're feeling accomplished because you're busting your stash, but you're also feeling accomplished because you get to like change colors, and that kind of keeps you going. So one example of this is I made a pillow based on the excavation blanket pattern, and I'm bringing up my cat for the second time in less than 10 minutes, but that has become like a bed for her, and we have it in between my fiance and I's pillows at night, and she sleeps in between us on that knit pillow. So something like that could be a great project to get you out of a knitting slump. Or if you want to try something, do something you've always wanted to try, but maybe you've like been limiting yourself. Your creativity can be blocked, or your productivity can be blocked for so many reasons. Sometimes like we might be the reason that we're limiting ourselves. So maybe just pushing through whatever beliefs you have of like, I won't like doing this, or I'm scared to do it. Like just try it and see how it goes. Also just like putting aside things that you don't want to work on, because nothing, it's like a reading slump too. Like I'm very susceptible to getting into reading slumps where I like read a half of one book that I don't really like and like I don't pick up another book for a few months. So that's not great. Would love to work on that. Those are some of my tips for knitting slumps. Next question was advice to getting into the knitting social community. And I'm not sure if I'm the person you would want advice for from that. Because I started knitting again in the pandemic and then started posting online during the pandemic because I had no one else in my real life to talk about it with. I've kind of become a creature of the internet, and one thing I would love to do more is attend more in-person crafting activities. I know like my local yarn store has knit night, but it's like the same night that I have therapy, so I never go. So I would love to just like find one local like stitch and bitch or knitting group or something like that and be better about that and like meeting knitters in real life. I have knit up with a few people like off Instagram, and that's been really fun as well. So my only piece of advice would be like, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Like usually people are pretty receptive. So that's something I wish I could do better. So I got a few questions that are like the opposite of each other. So the questions were, one thing you'll never make but you wish you would, or like what is your dream pattern that you would make, or like your dream thing that you would design. This is basic and it might be disappointing. And I think I actually could do it. Like I think I possess these skills, but I have a sweater that I bought in college from H&M. It's mostly acrylic and like cotton and wool, like some like ungodly blend of fibers. It's like moderately comfortable, but like nothing like a hand knit, you know? But it's this kind of oversized split hem turtleneck, and I would love to recreate that piece, like copy paste, recreate it. It's actually I think in reverse stockinette, which I'm not sure if I would like in something that I knit, but being able to kind of recreate some of my favorite, I think I only have really one favorite store-bought sweater. It's the only one that's like really regularly in my rotation still. I would love to do that. And one thing that I'll never make, I wish I would make a pair of socks. I'm not sure, I would never say never, but I still haven't knit a sock after all of these years, and like I still don't feel that interested in doing so. My truth is like I really love a store-bought wool sock, and I'm not sure if I would love a hand knit sock better. Like I have really strong opinions about store-bought sweaters and like fast fashion sweaters and the materials and how they feel, and like strong opinions for me, but I don't feel that way about socks necessarily. Like I love a good durable, like a smart wool sock. I like the Bombas wool socks too. I don't find myself grabbing for a wool sock. Maybe like a pair of DK socks as like a slipper, that'd be really nice. Kind of on the topic of fast fashion store-bought things versus hand knit things, someone asked, do you see knitting as a form of resistance or still mostly for fun? And to that I say, why not both? I definitely see being able to at least divest some of my own income from fast fashion in these large major corporations as a good thing. I still buy fast fashion things here and there. It's definitely slowed down my consumption, which I think overall is a good thing. It's made me more mindful about my consumption, and it's made me more appreciative for like a well-made piece of clothing. Also just the work that goes into all of our clothes. And this is no hate to the crocheters, but like when it comes to like when people see crochet made by fast fashion companies, they're like, well, someone made that because a machine can't make crochet. Someone made all of your clothes. And I understand the point that's being made, that like they made the whole thing. People make your clothes no matter where you buy them from. And I think that's just important to remember. I definitely see it as a form of resistance. One thing I'd really love to research more and maybe one day make a video about is throughout history, how fiber arts have been used as forms of resistance, or how they've been used throughout moments in history, because like good or not, like sometimes our hobbies do intersect with politics. Yes and yes, but it's also so much fun and it's relaxing. And I think that's also very important too. Now I'm going on a ramble, but something that can also, I know that I make content and social media content, but this is also something that capture our attention that's not our phones, and not kind of feeding into the attention economy in that way. And again, I feel a little hypocritical saying that, filming a YouTube video and knowing that I post online, but subversive to how powers that be like want you to spend your money and time. People don't want the consumers, us, spending time like making our own clothes. They'd rather like us spend time buying things out of convenience and participating in micro trends and buying the next like sweater on TikTok shop that it's made of plastic that everyone loves. If you buy acrylic sweaters, whatever, but they want us to buy disposable clothing. And by making something that is like hand knit and durable, you're resisting that and you're subverting that. And I think that's really cool. That's my long-winded answer to that question. I really like that question. Changing subjects, someone asked if I would ever gift knit a sweater for someone, if, who, and what. I have actually. I gift knit a sweater for my boyfriend. He's not my fiance, so hopefully the sweater curse is staying away from my household. Mark safe from the sweater curse. I knit him the Hot Toddy hoodie by Knititude. He's someone I would knit a sweater for again. I think I would really like to make him the Stick Season sweater by the Crea, mostly because he's a huge Noah Kahan fan, and Forever by Noah Kahan's like one of our favorite songs together. And probably like my mom. Those are like the two people I would knit sweaters for, and babies, because that doesn't really count because they're little. And I have knit a sweater for a baby before. And I have some babies that I should be knitting for. So those are the people. Fiance, mom, baby. And if one of my close family members really wanted one and asked for one, I would, but no one has. So many people asked, what is my favorite or most worn knit? And it has to be a 3-way tie in between the sweater I'm wearing right now, which is my Ingrid sweater. This is like it's like my baby blanket sweater, in that if I'm having a bad day or I don't feel well or like I feel sick or I'm like a little tired or whatever, I put on this sweater. Like I often wear this sweater to therapy because it's just very comforting. So this is definitely one of my most worn ones. My Folklore sweater and my Harlow V-neck sweater. I can't just pick one, but I can pick a few. Those are the ones that get the most wear. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that like really stands out, but those are the most both utilitarian, comforting, fit my style sweaters. Someone asked, what are your unpopular knitting opinions? And I think I did a video way back in the day reacting to people's unpopular opinions, but I didn't really like spew my own unpopular opinions. I know that's a trend that's been going around, and I have like 2 big ones that I can think of. I will have to say I don't like to spend a lot of time getting worked up about what people are making and like spending their own money on in their own homes. That doesn't really like ruffle my feathers too much. I think some people like really get like, they're like, why are people making this pattern? It's like, well, people like that pattern. Why do you think people are making it? Like, I don't know. But like, I understand the point of a frivolous, unpopular take. My first one is kind of back to the fast fashion conversation. I cannot stand when someone is trying to make a critique of overconsumption, either in knitting or in fiber arts or in like hobbies in general. Then they compare people who are participating in a hobby, making their own clothes in their own home, to fast fashion. It just like annoys me so much because I think it's not a good argument. It takes away from the conversation of overconsumption, and I think it directs a lot of ire and criticism that we should be pointing towards these corporations to the individual. And I'm not saying that like there's no place to have an individual conversation about what overconsumption looks like, tips to how to combat it, like ways to consume less, all important points. But then to compare someone who's knitting a sweater in a week to Shein, it's not the same thing. People are not contributing the same amount of textile waste in their own homes than to a massive corporation, international corporation that like regularly ships parcels across the Pacific Ocean and all over the world. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not the same thing. And so whenever I hear people being like, that's just fast fashion to me, like it's not. You know it's not. This next one, not sure if it's necessarily an unpopular opinion, but it's a controversial thing going on in our community right now. But I think that if you are in a group that shares and steals knitting patterns from designers, it's not the anti-capitalist dunk that you think it is. People charging a price for the intense time, labor, and knowledge it goes into grading and editing and producing a knitting pattern is not gatekeeping, okay? Like, and you're also not entitled to that person's work. And that's not to say I'm not sympathetic if someone can actually not afford something, but like just because you can't afford something doesn't mean that you steal it. I don't understand how that, like, it doesn't just like automatically cancel out what you're doing. That is my hot take on that. And I think before I get too riled up, I'll chill for a second. Same person also asked, what is my favorite thing about the knitting community? And I think the reverse of that is, like, if you haven't been on Instagram and you don't know exactly what I was just talking about, there was recently discovered like a Discord server of people stealing and resharing knitting patterns from like a variety of designers. What I've seen, at least on Instagram, and seeing people coming out and supporting of designers and supporting small businesses, I love that part. I love how knowledgeable the knitting community is. I love just like being in a group of people that love the same things as you. It's a very like instinctual human thing that feels good, but also just how helpful the knitting community is. People committed to like making things with their hands. I just think it's really beautiful. Being a part of the knitting community in 2025 is like in a very small singular way, like carrying on years and years and years and centuries of other people that have been doing handicrafts and making their own clothes and doing fiber arts. And I think that's really cool too. It just like makes you feel connected to something bigger. That's again one of those human things that like just feels so good. Like my grandmothers weren't knitters, but they crocheted, so I feel connected to them when I do it. Really, any woman that's ever made anything, I feel connected to her when I do this. Is that too much? Just enough? One of the last, I have 3 more knitting questions. Question was, what are your favorite yarns, needles, notions? What yarn will you never touch again? I can answer that last one first. Drops. Kid silk. And maybe mohair, largely on the whole. I did make some mohair scrunchies, which was fun. So I probably won't never touch mohair again. I dropped a stitch. Just a really scratchy, cheap one I wouldn't knit. As far as my favorite yarns, 2 of my favorite yarns, this is an easy answer. Knitting for Olive Merino, basic, I don't care. I love how it feels held double. It's like the comfiest, softest, squishiest little thing. And Cascade 220, which is just a Peruvian like workhorse yarn. This is knit in that, my Ingrid sweater, and also my Loom sweater is knit in that, and I just love it. It's like affordable, it's nice, so many colors, it goes a long way. Those are the yarns that I like. And as far as notions, like I've had some Cocoa Kind ones that I really like and I've gotten as gifts, but I'm not super picky when it comes to notions like that. This is a great question. So someone asked, how do you start a knitting podcast? And another person asked, what's your recording setup? How you start a knitting podcast is you think about what you want to talk about and you sit down and you record it. And I know I don't want to sound like flippant when I say that, but I think the thing about starting like posting online is this way is mostly it's like the mental game of being like, oh my god, is anyone gonna watch it? Like I'm gonna feel weird. I don't know what I'm doing. Like maybe you do know what you're doing, but like so many things. But just think about what you want to talk about and find a simple way for you to film it and edit it and just go after it. It'll be intimidating at first. There's so many things that you can film on, edit with. To speak a little about my setup, use a very simple setup because that's what works for me. A lot of people say like use the software that you know, like you don't need to go out and buy Final Cut Pro or like Adobe, whatever the Adobe one is. Like I still use iMovie. I film on my iPhone 14 Pro. I use the cinematic mode, which helps kind of blur the background nicely. And I have a little microphone that plugs into the jack of my phone jack, which it just makes it really easy. And I have a tripod. I really like avoided getting both of those things for a while, but like the tripod is like, you can get a tripod decently. I'm not sure if I'd recommend the one I have. It's not very good. As I would always get really frustrated like trying to set things up nicely, and I would always have like a pile of books on my table here, and it was always very precarious. And a microphone just helps a lot, and especially now it's so easy to get at least a decent microphone. My tip, I would not waste your money on like a really cheap lav mic. I don't like how those sound. That's just like, I'm not an audio person, so take that with a grain of salt. But I can link my thing below. Find a simple setup, find something that you're excited to talk about, and talk about it and like see where it goes from there. There's 2 sayings I'll leave you with on the making videos thing. I always say done is better than perfect, and also perfect is the enemy of good enough. This is my side, like this is my I don't even like to call it a side hustle. Like, this is my hobby. I like knitting and I like making videos. Keep it fun, keep it light. I do have to remind myself that a lot because sometimes you get in your head, you're like, I'm being perceived, oh my God. Keep in the forefront of your mind while you're doing it. That will get you a long way. So those are my tips for starting a channel. I want to answer the last question. Someone said, show me your stash, and let's do it. This will be a very impromptu stash tour. You'll kind of see it as is. I don't know, I haven't done a stash tour in a while, so let's show you. First thing I have is this basket that I keep at the top of this shelf right here. I have some yarn that goes into, this is what I'm using for my Stella quilt blanket. This is from a company called Illimani. I got this at Looped. I made my mom Sophie's shawl with this. I might have to make myself a matching one. Concept by Katya summer tweed that I haven't used. Kind of thick for a summer top, but look how pretty that is. Okay. I have some swatches in here. I have a cedar sachet and this is a hanky yarn from Arcane Fiber. I honestly, I won't show you, but I have a big box of this that I need to figure out what I need to do. They reached out and they gifted some, they were like, can we send you some yarn? And I was like, sure, thinking they'd send me like stuff for like 2 to 3 projects. I have like a box of yarn. This is one of my favorites that, you know, I just like to keep some pretty ones in this basket. So it's about to get a lot less unaesthetic. So let's go. Or a lot less aesthetic. It's not getting less unaesthetic. I'm just gonna pull you over. Lighting's not great. It's really dark today, but this is my yarn ottoman. This is just a part of my couch from IKEA, and I've limited myself to keeping stash in here. And so far that's pretty much worked for me. I don't like to keep a big stash. Having a lot of yarn stresses me out. I usually don't even have like more than a sweater quantity of yarn at a time. So here's what I have. So keep some like other stuff in here. I have, this is my bag of minis for my Stella quilt blanket. I'm not emptying this because it's pretty well organized. It's a bag of minis. You can watch my Stella quilt blanket or my podcast to see more. This is my pack rat bag of scraps. It's just scraps and I like to keep them and I'll use them for filling in a project someday. This is a ball of Manos del Yorgray Marla. I made a hat with it and then I frogged it. I have a whole bag of acrylic yarns that I've used for gift knits and like non-wearable projects I've made over the years. There's some Craftspiration, there's some Barocco Ultra wool, which actually has wool in it. It's in the name. And some Hue and Me 2 of Wands acrylic. Oh, these are my scraps from my Stella quilt blanket. Sorry, this is really plastic bag crinkly heavy. This is the yarn from my Milady's dress that I never knit. I have like 8 balls of Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the colorway Olive and some other summer yarns. This is more acrylic. Yeah, I have a bag of more summer yarns. Let's see, what's of interest in here? Some of these aren't summer. Some of these are from my Hook and Needles boxes that I got in the winter. I have a quantity of Petite Mandarin by Santa's Garn. Okay, you kind of saw it. This is Rough and Tumble. Oh, while ago, many years ago, I bought this. I need to get rid of this. I don't really like it. This is Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino and Elephant Blue. I just like hate this color, to be honest. So I have 3 balls of this. I have some brown and white drops cotton, whatever this is, that I tried to make a top with 2 years ago, never did. Anything that I hold on to, it's summer yarns because they're so inexpensive, and so every summer I'm like, what if I just buy this? And then I never knit something with it. I think I need to be put on a ban for summer yarns this summer. Finally, this is a bag of like true scraps, things that I could use in projects. And it's mostly DK. And any fingering weight scrap I have for my bag that or the vest that I'm knitting. So that's basically my stash. It's not like there's a few things here and there around my house, but that's like everything that's in this ottoman, and a bag of polyfill, and then some like there are some random balls at the bottom that I'm not showing to you because it's not really any of your business. I'm kidding. And my ball winder sits in here. Yeah, I find this is really helpful way to keep things manageable if you are looking for ways to keep your yarn stash manageable. limit yourself to one physical area, and if you can't fit things in that area anymore, stop buying yarn and use what you already have. Okay. Sorry, a little tough love. Let's go back and answer some of your last questions. Oh, the last knitting question was, are you gonna knit a summer dress? And I'm not doing that again, not this year. I have some stuff that I want to knit for my wedding, and some people did ask me about wedding planning and how it's going. Transitioning into more non-knitting questions. Wedding planning is going well. I'm glad that we got a lot of it done. We got like a lot of the major vendors booked. The last big one that I have to do is hair and makeup. I'm finding that one to be intimidating. That is the last big vendor we have. Our wedding is planned in October. It's in Pittsburgh. I have enjoyed it so far. Wedding planning, someone asked if I've enjoyed it, and I have. So far, so good. I do feel very lucky that I feel like what can make knitting planning's not hard. What can make wedding planning so hard is that there can often be a lot of parties involved with a lot of expectations and opinions and like strong feelings of how things should be. We feel very fortunate that both of our families aren't doing that, which I think has made things pretty easy, and I'm very grateful, and I don't take any of that for granted. And we haven't had to make any of those like little tiny decisions, which I think might drive me up the wall later on, but right now I'm good. I'm chill. So, and someone asked if I got my wedding dress yet, and I did order it. I don't have it yet, but I went wedding dress shopping in November, kind of into December of this year. If you're local in the area, I went mostly to Alexandria. I did an appointment at Ellie's in Alexandria, Global Bridal Gallery in Alexandria, and the Beholden in Georgetown. I ended up getting it from Global Bridal Gallery, and maybe I'll put up a picture or two of some dresses that I didn't pick. And then I went to one shop in Pittsburgh called One White Lane, so that some of my family members could see me try on dresses. Also very intimidated by the wedding dress process, but I had a lot of fun. I had good people with me. It's like a very overwhelming experience physically, I found. You're like in and out of dresses, you're like kind of hot. People are like touching your hair and like putting veils in and out. So it's a little like, at the end of the day, you're like, no one touch me, no one look at me. Overall, I had a lot of fun. Someone also asked, if you could live anywhere, cost irrelevant, where would it be? And it's like, I already do that. I live in Washington, D.C. Not to be snarky. I think it's more so to say I really love where I live, and it's kind of expensive here, and I can't think of many other more expensive places that I would want to live. Like, I'm not a New York City girl. I don't think I'd want to. I've actually never been to San Francisco, I can't say, but I really love this city. I've been here for 10 years. I went to school here and stayed. This is a DC mug. Like, I freaking love DC. I think it sometimes gets a bad rap, either in the national news or people think it's just full of like career climbing politicos, and that's not been my experience. I've like met some really incredible people here. I've built a life here, so it would be where I'm living now, and it's expensive. If I could like move anywhere else in the world, I did a study abroad in Madrid in Spain, so I'd probably go to like Spain or Portugal, but it would probably be cheaper to live there than it would be to live here if I made the same amount of money. Obviously, I know that like your income varies, but they also have like free healthcare. It's crazy. What's that like? In that vein, someone asked me what are my favorite spots in DC, knitting or otherwise. If you're coming here and you want to go to a yarn store, I always recommend Looped in DuPont and Fiberspace in Alexandria. I haven't been to Mary Pin yet, which is more of a crafting place in Petworth, but I want to go. If you're visiting, I absolutely adore the Portrait Gallery and the National Gallery of Art, but you can't go wrong with any of the Smithsonian's. Smithsonian's of American History was probably my second or third up there. Museum of the Native American, the African American History Museum. They're all fantastic. One of my favorite restaurants is a little pizza place called Martha Deer in Mount Pleasant, and that's also one of my favorite neighborhoods in DC. If you're here, two things that I've eaten in DC, which I didn't have growing up, are Salvadoran food and Ethiopian food. So pupusas, get it Ethiopian food, get it like an injera platter with like all the different vegetables and meats. Food in DC is so good. So yeah, those are some of my favorite things. And I just love, I don't know, love letter to DC. I could wax poetic. Go to Rock Creek Park, go to the mall, go to the tidal basin. There's green space. It's walkable. You don't feel like suffocated like you do when you're in Manhattan. No hate to Manhattan. It's just not for me. I have a pretty decent metro system and bus system. I love the bus. Yeah, great town. Okay, last kind of like personal question before, like, I just got 2 reality TV questions. Someone asked, how do I stay physically and mentally healthy? To which I say, how do you know that I'm physically and mentally healthy? Because I don't feel that way at all. Like, listen, it's not been a great mental health journey for me the past few weeks, but I've definitely had periods where my mental health hasn't been great. I talk a lot about my long COVID journey and my long COVID experience, which that definitely affects my mental health whenever that kicks up. But here are some things that I feel helpful to hold on to. Doing things with my hands, knitting, spending time with loved ones, with friends, with family, people that care about you. Don't underestimate the power of that. Going outside, which is something I can do better on. Being a work from home, like I said, internet creature. Cheesy, very cheesy. Works, unfortunately. Having like at least some kind of gratitude practice. Again, like I don't think you can like gratitude your way out of like a mental health crisis, but especially when I was in the throes of my long COVID, like one thing that I would have to do is document my headaches every day. And like every day I'm like writing like my head hurts, like I'm in pain. And so I started doing a gratitude journal log in a different notes app on my phone, saying at least like one thing that made me happy that day. And some days it was like eating cherries, and like that was it. But at least I ate cherries that day. So it's corny, it's a little cliche, but it's helpful. It like gives you something to hold on to when it seems like a lot of our footholds and handholds on the rock wall are slipping away. You know, just like you need something to cling to, basically, in times like these. And a few, just to wrap us up, a few media questions, a few TV questions. We'll do rapid fire. Someone asked my favorite Gilmore Girls character, Suki. Melissa McCarthy's genius. Enough said. Are you watching Traitors? Yes. I think it's a really good season. I love that the Traitors are in disarray. I love, okay, Traitor spoilers. I love that Boston Rob, like, is shaking things up. I don't, like, love Boston Rob. I don't love the misogyny in this season. I feel like a lot of the players are anti-woman, not loving that. I think after, there were a lot of women in the final. I know CJ or CT ended up winning. CT ended up winning last season with Trishelle. But, like, it was mostly just other women in the final, which I thought was great. And I think they're, like, the men are back in this season, but whatever. Someone asked if I watched the last seasons of The Ultimatum and Love is Blind. I don't watch The Ultimatum. Should I? I know I feel like people say that in the comments whenever I talk about TV. So maybe that's something I find myself into. Only so much of Nick and Vanessa Lachey I can take. Like, I think I've already reached my limit. Well, I didn't watch it this year. Like, I watched Love is Blind, and, like, that was it for me, so let's keep that in mind. The last season was a DC season of Love is Blind, and I thought it was just okay. I felt, was it Marissa was her name, and Ramsey, that was, like, Taylor and Garrett, the one couple I think that ended up, they're cute. I think they're a great couple. And then, of course, Hannah and Nick. That was just a hard watch. That was hard. That was tough to watch. It was tough on all fronts. And I think the problem with reality TV is I do think we've, like, passed the golden age, in that people are way too aware that they're being filmed and on camera, and they're afraid of being canceled. And so that's hard. And I think the other thing with Love is Blind that's hard is, like, the cameras aren't there with them, like, all the time. And I always feel like you're just watching people, like, have a conversation about a conversation they had off camera. And I'm like, this is dumb. I want the drama. I want to be there, and it doesn't always lend to that. So I understand that that's really hard to do, probably from a production standpoint, but it definitely takes away from it. Like, you can tell when people are, you know, having a conversation for the second time, or, like, there's pieces of information that we don't have as the viewer. Yes, those are all my questions. So if you submitted a question, thank you so much. Thanks for entertaining me. And I hope that you were working on something lovely while you were watching this video. Thank you again for being here. Be sure to comment if you'd like to win a gift card to your favorite craft store, and I'll announce that in the next video. And thank you so much again. I really appreciate you being here. Thanks, and I'll see you soon. Bye!